My name's Scott, you're watching Regular Veteran. How are you doing today? Today I'm talking about the 5 Bloods. If Delroy Lindo does not get all the awards, then whatever system it is rigged. That motherfucker has displayed PTSD better than any other military movie I can recall, personally. It's a Spike Lee movie, and it's really fucking good. It's on Netflix, you should watch it if you haven't already. Let me grab my notes. All right, let's talk about who made the movie, then we'll talk about who's in the movie, then we'll talk about the movie, and then we'll talk about the symbolism that I could see clearly on display. Yeah, I'm excited. Welcome to Regular Veteran. I'm back, bitches! It feels good to be back. The original writers were Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, I don't know. And they wrote a version and nobody actually wanted to make it, and then Spike Lee got a hold of the script and was like, you know what? I can actually turn this into something better. And he added a little bit of racial tension by making it about black soldiers in Vietnam. The first thing you'll notice is the movie poster, and that was done by an actual designer for the Black Panthers named Emory Douglas. He's phenomenal. I could watch a documentary about him. Spike Lee has access to all the top names, so he had Terrence Blanchard, who he's worked with before, doing the score, which was phenomenal. I've actually been listening to it since I watched the movie. The orchestra is huge. It makes this movie really feel like the war epic that it's meant to be. If all directors have to have a war epic, then this was Spike Lee's, and man, he had a lot to say. I loved it. Kevin Wilmot helped write it with Spike Lee when Spike was like, you know what, I want to make this into something that helps explain the black experience in Vietnam. Newton Thomas Sigel was the DP, and I'm really excited to see what he's got cooking up with the Russo brothers in Cherry. That's supposed to come out hopefully this year. Looks like maybe. The editor was Adam Go, and I mean, this whole movie came together so well. Marvin Gaye was one of the themes, as well as the Temptations. Just by all of the characters' names, you could see that the Temptations were on display. And I love that Spike was using everything at his disposal as a call out to something related to black history, and it was beautifully done. Delroy Lindo is the main character, Paul. Jonathan Majors plays his son. Clarke Peters plays Otis. Norm Lewis plays Eddie. It's Paul, Otis, Eddie, Melvin, and they go on a trip, and then David shows up just because he knows the story. At the beginning of the movie, you hear Marvin Gaye playing, and it's funny because I actually knew this song from Tupac, so one way or another we were getting to the same place. This is a call out to black history, and I thought that was really cool, and it kind of doubled down on those loud voices in the black community. The whole movie was shot in Vietnam and Thailand, so it doesn't seem like anything was shot in the studio, which is cool. One of the coolest things that Spike Lee does in this entire movie is interweave history directly into the movie. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen this movie yet, you're gonna want to watch the movie before you go any further. The impetus for the whole movie is 4 brothers in arms going back to Vietnam to dig up their fallen comrade, as well as some lost gold that they had. So this combination was beautifully interwoven. Danny and I were on the edge of our seats because of those landmines. Holy shit. Just every step we're like, whoa, whoa, you're gonna die. the mines, the landmines, actually played the biggest role in terms of the bad guy and what we left there and how it's still an enemy. I truly don't know if I've seen a better representation of PTSD and the downward spiral that it can cause. I loved how eloquent the dialogue was put together to not portray the whole culture as villainous, but rather just some of these people might take advantage of the power they have, and that power might be a badge, but it might just be the gun that they have in your face. Really well done. Norm Lewis plays Eddie, Isiah Whitlock Jr. plays Melvin, and gives us that iconic shit. I didn't watch The Wire, but I can respect bringing a previous character into a new piece of art. I love that. Jean Reno plays DeRoche, and he does a beautiful job. It's predictable, but not really predictable. Chadwick Boseman plays Stormin' Norman, and
I'm as mad as everybody. All us Bloods got a right to be. Bloods, don't let nobody use our rage against us. We control our rage. And what y'all trying to do right now ain't changing shit. So stand down. That's an order. Nah, fuck an order, Norm. You're gonna have to kill me first.
This is just another display of the black community policing themselves, just like the Black Panthers did, bringing guns into their own neighborhoods to say, we're gonna stop our own crime. We don't need to call the cops. Chadwick Boseman, well done, sir. It's worth mentioning, it was really well done having, you know, 4 characters come out of the same moment and have vastly different representations of what it did in their life later on. And that the fact that they didn't use young actors to display them in the flashback, I thought was really well done. Just wonderful. Like, what the fuck? How has no one really thought of this before? It was new, but also helped you just stay in the movie, and the aspect ratio changing just a little bit gives you the understanding of what's old and what's now. And the M16 firing for 20 to 30 rounds just in full auto is a little bit silly. Most people had them in semi just because they would run out of ammo so quick if they didn't. Now we need to talk about the symbolism. The dancing shot is probably my favorite shot just because the symbolism of it, showing apocalypse now and how like we've changed and this is how far we've come, and now we're gonna take a left turn to this weird dark place. And the shots, the cinematic artistry, it's at the top of everyone's game, clearly. There's an actual club called Apocalypse Now in what used to be Saigon, which is now Ho Chi Minh City. You can see that Paul has been an absent father, but not absent altogether, just dealing with his own shit as a father. And you can see from the very beginning that Delroy Lindo needs to go out in a blaze of glory, and you can kind of tell that that's what his character has been planning the whole time. So his character's been thinking about going out for a long time, and there's a foreshadowing of almost everybody's death, and it's really well done just in conversation. And the monologue that Delroy has is just stunning. Like, I can't imagine the chills that were going through everyone while filming that, because I had chills watching it.
I said to God, God did what now? God raised his voice, didn't he? He put some bass in that heavenly voice, said to me, fuck them motherfuckers, Paul. They don't know shit. Do your thing.
This is the voice of Vietnam, broadcasting from Hanoi, capital of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam.
Hanoi Hannah, she was a real woman. There's a link below to an interview that she did years after the war. It's really interesting. She's a really interesting character. I'm just gonna roll through a few of the shots that I thought were the best. So definitely watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Gave us something to believe in, a direction, a purpose. Taught us about black history when it wasn't really popular back then.
If you're interested in learning more about Vietnam from a person of color's experience, you definitely want to check out Terry Wallace's book called Bloods. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what's happening over here. I'm going to be redoing the interior of this so I can use it as my full-time office. I'm really excited, so that's going to be something coming up yeah, in the next couple videos. So thanks for tuning in. My name's Scott, you're watching Regular Veteran. I'll see you on the internet. Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe if you're not already.